This is the PetroServe USA Bison Pregame Show.
Welcome, everyone. You're outside the Fargo Dome where the temperatures are in the 40s. It's windy, on and off rain, and yeah, it's wet out here. Wow! But that hasn't stopped the Bison faithful. They're here and gearing up for a big game against UNI. Welcome to the PetroServe USA pregame show. I'm Mike Morkin. We'll have more from the tailgating area in just a few moments. But let's go into the Fargo Dome where it's dry and warm, and your host, Jamal Spencer.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Dry indeed, but there's certainly a storm brewing here inside the Fargo Dome between two of the biggest football powers in FCS football. Two Missouri Valley rivals getting ready to play a classic conference battle. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the PetroServe USA Bison Football Pregame Show. I'm your host, Jamal Spencer. Well, last week, North Dakota State played their conference opener on the road at South Dakota State, and all they did was hold the Jacks to negative 34-yard rushing on the way to a 20-0 shutout victory. Their road doesn't get any easier today. Their rival, the Northern Iowa Panthers, return to the Fargo Dome for just the third time in program history, the last time being a 27-19 loss back in 2011. That year, the Bison went on to win their first of back-to-back national championships, and they haven't slowed down since. We'll dive more into the game in just a little bit, but now let me introduce our broadcast team, play-by-play man Brian Shawn and analyst Kevin Feeney. Guys, there's certainly a playoff atmosphere in the Dome today, isn't there?
Yeah, there's no question about it, Jamal. When you get number 1 against number 4 in the country, both teams 4-0, both teams with a Big 12 victory. Of course, UNI knocking off Iowa State first game of the year, and then NDSU going down to Manhattan, Kansas and winning. And although we were in a similar position last year when Youngstown State came to town, it was number 1 against number 3, both teams undefeated, but this game still feels bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what, anytime you got Northern Iowa involved, I think there's a little bit more intensity to it. And certainly Youngstown, no disrespect to them, they're a quality team in the Valley. But UNI, there's some personal things going on, I think, within that program and the North Dakota State program, and I think there's no love lost between these two teams.
And typically in these last few games we've seen between these programs, Kevin, we've seen where the battles have been won and lost up front, and that's really been the difference in the football games. What do you think we're going to see in the battle in the trenches today? UNI's got a 3-4 now. We can talk about that later in the show, but some different looks here for the Panthers.
There's going to be, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this whole setup is I think when the Bison made that transition, they really looked at the blueprint that UNI had, and that was the defensive line, making sure that they had big, explosive guys on the defensive line that could make plays. I think the Bison have taken that formula, taken that recipe, and that's created that same type of success. I think on the flip side of that, Northern Iowa still has quality defensive linemen, but maybe not the size and explosiveness that they've had at that defensive line. So look for that Bison offensive line to try and take advantage of that.
Home field in the past has been really big. Obviously, NDSU has been a very good road team the last few years. We've seen that. But the difference today might be that 12th man. Craig Bohl alluded to that earlier in the week. Mark Farley had mentioned that it's a very difficult place to play. And when it comes to pre-snap penalties, turnovers, and those types of things, sometimes the crowd can play a factor.
Oh, I think the crowd's going to be a huge factor in this football game. UNI plays inside a dome. They know what it's like to be on the positive side of that. To be on the flip side of that, I think it's going to be an issue. We'll see that their quarterback, their offense is very, very high-powered. See if that has any effect on it. And certainly if you see any type of effects that the Bison crowd thinks that they have in the football game, it's only going to get built up that much more.
The offense for NDSU did sputter just a little bit last week with some uncommon penalties, pre-snap mental penalties. You wouldn't expect that same thing to happen 2 weeks in a row, especially here at home.
You know, I don't. And you can't expect a football team and a team like this to not make mistakes at any point in the season. So I think, you know, yes, last week was a game that they feel like they left a lot of stuff out there, execution, penalties, mental mistakes, all that kind of stuff. But I think, you know what, the game is going to get amped up. When they're back home here, conditions are going to be perfect. A little bit shaky field conditions last week in South Dakota. All that kind of stuff can get into a player's head. Certainly a very, very experienced football team. They understand the magnitude of this football game today.
We'll get into it a little bit later in the PetroServe Bison pregame show. Jamal, back to you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Well, today's certainly the type of day that makes you glad that the Bison play here in the Fargo Dome. Cold and rainy here in Fargo, North Dakota. But that didn't put a damper on today's tailgate festivities. Mike Morkin's out in the parking lot with some fans who don't mind a little bad weather.
Adaptability is the name of the game when it's quality tailgating, and that's what they've done here with the temperatures in the 40s. And doesn't seem to phase anybody. Chad Coley, you're in charge of this operation, and yeah, no problem with the colder weather.
No, this isn't bad at all. This isn't very cold. Wait a few weeks, it'll be a lot colder.
And you're ready for that?
Oh, I'm ready. And I am not the only one in charge. This is Brett. Him and I are here together, so.
All right. Brett, cold weather, no problem?
No problem at all. We're waiting for the playoffs in the winter to come with the snow.
You guys have attracted quite a few friends.
Yeah, we always like to have more people here, and the more fun it is, make sure everyone gets fed and have a good time.
Is it your personality, or is it because you've got a big space heater right now?
I think a little bit of both. How's that?
Okay. You got plenty of food. Everything seems to be going okay.
Oh, absolutely. The more the merrier. Anybody else want to come down and help themselves? We got plenty for everybody.
Okay. Let's give a cheer for the Bison.
Thanks a lot, Mike. A lot of fun out there, but a lot more fun to come here inside the Fargo Dome when we come back to the PetroServe USA Bison Football Pregame Show.
Heating systems don't always quit working during regular business hours.
Sorry, our offices are closed till tomorrow.
At Precision, we can help. We have real people answering the phones and technicians ready to go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So if your heating system breaks down, even if it's 3 in the morning, we'll be ready.
Emergency service and repair, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Make the right decision. Call Precision.
It's our 4 for 4.
It's Elijah's 4 for 4.
No, Mom, it's our 4 for 4.
At PetroServe USA, it's everyone's 4 for 4. Choose a pizza, 2 cookies, and a fountain drink for just $4 every day.
It's my 4 for 4.
Also, PetroServe USA is giving away $10,000. Register at any of our 21 locations for your chance to win. PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
I tell them not to worry if they wake up and smell something burning. It's just desire.
Remington Core Locked, the most reliable deer ammo in the woods.
Make that most important moment last a lifetime. For the brightest, whitest, cleanest diamonds in the FM area, make that moment last at a cutting edge 1700 32nd Avenue South, Fargo.
Your financial institution should be like a clock. It should always have time for you. It should run like, well, clockwork. It should be easy to read. It should work just as well in digital, if you're into that sort of thing. It shouldn't leave you ticked off. It should know that time is money. And lastly, it should never, ever be slow. Life moves pretty fast. So do we. Go to Town. Town & Country Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's easy to throw that around in the parking lot with a little bit of accuracy. It's a lot harder to spin it here in the Fargo Dome and put it on point. Welcome back to the PetroServe USA Bison Football Pregame Show. Well, if you were to name the top 5 quarterbacks in NDSU history, Steve Walker and Kevin Feeney would likely be on your list. But current Bison quarterback Brock Jensen has placed his name in that category as well. Jensen is now NDSU's all-time leader in total offense and has gone 36-5 as a starter. We allowed the 3 quarterbacks to get together here on the Fargo Dome turf and throw the ball around a little bit and talk about life as leader of the herd.
When did you kind of decide, hey, you know what, college football might be my thing?
I think it wasn't until my senior year that, I really was like, okay, I want to play college football. What about you?
Yeah, you know what, I always hoped to have an opportunity to come play college football, and, had a dad that took us all around to some football camps and stuff like that, but, growing up in North Dakota, having a chance to come to NDSU and play in front of your home state was pretty pretty cool. But I know you guys are from out of state here, but how about your first trip to Fargo? You got to believe, like, coming from where you're from, Fargo, North Dakota has got to be a little bit of a, when your buddies back in high school say, where are you going? Why are you going to take a look there?
That was my reaction when the secretary came to my English class and said there's a recruiter from North Dakota State. I said I didn't even know there was colleges in North Dakota. Well, all right, I'll get out of class and go talk to you. And liked what I heard, but I'm like, well, North Dakota, I'll just talk with them, but not really take it seriously. But then the further you get into it and the more you learn about Fargo, it's an awesome place. And then even when I came here, I told my parents when we were driving up, I'm like, I'll be here 4 or 5 years and I'm coming back to Illinois. And about a year in and one horrible winter, it's like, this place is actually pretty cool.
All right, now you guys have both played for Coach Bull and both played for Coach Viggs. Now, and you, Steve, I know you've had a chance to do some radio stuff and watch Brock play a lot. Coach Viggs here, let's say, how did he tailor that offense to you to compare to what you see going on right now with Brock?
Early on, I used to think I was athletic. Viggs and Coach Perlis, they quickly told me either if get out of bounds or get down. Once you got 5 yards, that's all we want if you're running. So, but other than that, schemes and protections and checks, all that stuff seems pretty familiar.
Yeah, he's a lot more, flexible with my calls at the line of scrimmage, and just we're doing a lot more things, before the snap, and relying on me to be able to see different things within the defense. And so it's been nice having that flexibility. Just the trust level goes up, the older you get, the more experience you get in games. That's ultimately makes a huge difference.
How about you, Steve? Favorite moment? I know my favorite moment for you was Sam Houston when I was watching the game, calling the game. That's my favorite old man sitting upstairs watching him. But how about you?
Probably my two best, actually, was senior year coming out of the tunnel on senior night. Just kind of getting announced with all the rest of the teammates. I'm not a real emotional guy by any means, but started crying. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then I'd say best game, probably that Sam Houston. Kind of like you were saying, just going against Rhett Bomar and all the stuff, all the hype that they had going in that week, and throwing a semi-okay to not the best ball in the world, and Cole coming down with it. So, how about you, Brock? Best yet to come, but best so far.
This past Kansas State game is up there. I mean, if not number one. Just going down there in that environment and Big 12 champs, and nobody thinks he can do it besides the guys in that locker room. And then, going out there and getting it done in the last seconds of the game, that was a pretty fun moment. It's tough to top that. I mean, the 2 championships, obviously that's a huge stage. You get one shot to play a championship game, and you don't want to screw it up. You just want to win, do whatever it takes to win.
Mine's simple. Mine would be, we've got an opportunity to play UND in the playoffs. My freshman year, we went up there in the regular season, did not play well. It was a huge crowd. It's the first time ever getting a chance to play against your in-state rival. We played just poor, and I remember getting out of that locker room and Coach Hager just saying, you know what, pocket this, remember this, because it's going to come back. It's going to come full circle. Well, big picture, we go back a couple weeks later in the playoffs, and we fall behind, I believe, like 10-0 to start the game. And then we went out and ripped off the next 41 points, and I think won like 41-10, and it was our freshman year, and we were moving on in the playoffs, and we got to send our rival home. So pretty simple highlight, I guess, from my standpoint here. When you get here and you look up there and you say, shoot, I want to be part of one of those. And there's a reason why people come here, and it's to be a part of one of those. So you having an opportunity to put your name to a few of those, you do always have a part of it.
Jensen is the all-time leader in completions and attempts here at NDSU. Records held at one time by both Feeney and Walker. We'll hear more from those three at halftime, but stick around on the PetroServe USA Bison Football pregame show. We'll have the injury report when we come back.
The Craig Bowl Football Show, Sunday mornings at 10:30 on KX4.
North Dakota Today and Allegiant Air have teamed up to send you on a getaway to sunny Tampa, Florida.
Visit ndtoday.tv, click on the contest tab, and register for your chance to win 2 non-stop round-trip airline tickets from Fargo to Tampa on Allegiant Air.
The Seed World's newest hybrid combines the regional knowledge of Seeds 2000 with the global research and genetics of New Seed. But the newest hybrid isn't seed. It's a seed company. Talk to your New Seed territory manager for details.
It's our 4 for 4.
It's Elijah's 4 for 4.
No, Mom, it's our 4 for 4.
At PetroServe USA, it's everyone's 4 for 4. Choose a pizza, 2 cookies, and a fountain drink for just $4 every day.
It's my 4 for 4.
Also, PetroServe USA is giving away $10,000. Register at any of our 21 locations for your chance to win. PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
Grow your own way.
There's a first time for everything. We achieve goals.
Grow your own way.
Celebrate.
You can grow your own way.
Cherish and protect what really matters.
Welcome back to the PetroServe USA Bison Football Pregame Show. The fans filing in, sure to see a physical game in just a few minutes between North Dakota State and Northern Iowa. There'll be a few bumps and bruises when these two teams play every time. Speaking of which, let's take a look at today's Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine injury report. Tell you who's a little bit banged up. Defensive lineman Ryan Drevelo missed last week's game with a concussion. He had a strong week of practice. He's good to go this week. Coaches expect big things from him. And defensive tackle Levon Perry was held out of Thursday's practice. That'll be an ongoing thing as he slowly works his way back from off-season microfracture surgery. Coaches expect him to be at full go today as well. Earlier today, Brian Shawn caught up with team doctor Bruce Pyatt.
All right, thank you very much, Jamal. I'm joined by Dr. Bruce Pyatt of Sanford Health and Orthopedic Sports Medicine. And Dr. Pyatt, of course, the team doctor, team physician for NDSU. And Dr. Pyatt, I know an injury we've seen a couple of times this season has been a shoulder injury. There's shoulder dislocations, shoulder separations. Can you talk about the differences between those and what the recovery times are?
Yeah, the shoulder dislocation basically involves the true shoulder joint. The shoulder has 2 joints to it. The big joint is the ball that fits against part of your shoulder blade called the glenohumeral joint. When that becomes dislocated or popped out of joint, that's what we're talking about there. The shoulder separation is the smaller joint of the shoulder where the collarbone hooks up to part of your shoulder blade called the acromioclavicular joint or AC joint. When that becomes dislocated, it's called a shoulder separation. The separations, there's different degrees of those, whereas the shoulder dislocation, it's outer, it's not out basically. When they have the shoulder separation, depending on the degree, the lesser the degree, the quicker they come back and recover, and the less chance for needing surgery. Whereas with the dislocations in these young athletes, there's a very high incidence of it continuing to dislocate. So a lot of times they do come to surgery to stabilize them, but often we'll kind of get through a season, kind of limp through that part of it, and then fix it at the end of the season to reduce their long-term risk with it.
So the dislocation is a little bit more serious typically?
Yeah, it means much more for the long term of the shoulder.
Okay, thank you very much for the time, Dr. Pyatt. It is your Sanford Health and Orthopedic Sports Medicine injury report. Jamal, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. That was the Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine injury report. More to come here on the pregame show when we return.
expectations. Getting better every day. It doesn't happen by chance. Preparation pays off. So the only question to ask yourself is, am I better today than I was yesterday? Exceed yesterday. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome to Big Bank.
Hi, I'm tired of your fees, so I'd like to transfer my accounts to Bell State Bank.
Why? They don't even have mobile banking for your smartphone.
They do, and it's free.
But you can't take a picture and deposit your check.
You can, free.
Don't tell me they offer mobile bill pay.
Okay, but they do, for free. Well, gotta go.
Stay, we have free magnets with our logo.
Fed up with fees? Switch to Bell State Bank and Trust with all the frees and no surprise fees. Member FDIC.
We surprised real Clothes Mentor shoppers with our red carpet runway to find out why they love shopping at Clothes Mentor.
I love Clothes Mentor. All of the things that I would regularly be buying at the department store, paying $90 to $100 for one item, I'm getting 4 to 5 items for that same money.
Clothes Mentor, making frugal look fabulous.
Clothes Mentor is fabulous.
Good, clean, used vehicles are tough to come by. At Luther Family Buick GMC, we want to buy your vehicle, and we're willing to pay top dollar. That's right, we'll buy your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Any make, any model. Simply bring in your vehicle and your title for a no-strings-attached appraisal. If you like the offer, we will give you a check on the spot. Your vehicle will never be worth more. Stop in to Luther Family Buick GMC today, corner of I-29 and 32nd Avenue South, Fargo.
Now's the perfect time to transform your kitchen for the holidays with the latest in Jenner appliances from Regals. Sophisticated design, exceptional performance, and superb savings make Jenner appliances the perfect upgrade for any decor. For a limited time, receive up to $750 cash back with the purchase of select Jenner appliances. Regals carries the area's largest selection of name brand appliances at guaranteed low prices, plus free delivery and free recycling of your old appliances. Regals, 609 Main Avenue, Moorhead.
Time now to give away some gift cards from PetroServe. Today's winners are Jim P. from Fargo and Carrie H. from Bemidji. You've each won a $500 gift card from PetroServe USA. We'll be giving those away all season. Make sure you register at a PetroServe near you. Time now for the Bobcat heavy lifting report and players to watch for this week. And for NDSU, it starts with linebacker Grant Olson. He's in charge of getting the defense situated against a UNI team that'll throw a lot of different looks at the Bison. He'll also have to keep an eye on David Johnson. The Panthers will line him up in the slot as a receiver, and that might cause some problems for the Bison. And lastly, forcing turnovers. UNI turned it over 3 times in each of the last 2 matchups with the Bison. And for Northern Iowa, it is that man in the backfield, number 7, running back David Johnson. Always dangerous. Defensive end Cole Jurt called him the best running back in the country, mainly because he's a matchup nightmare. He can run, catch the ball out of the backfield, or move to wideout, and at 6'3", can cause problems if he's matched up against a linebacker. Johnson's gashed NDSU with runs and receptions over 20 yards in the past, and already has a 65-yard run this season. He's dangerous in space. Even at 215 pounds, he can make you miss. The Bison will have to wrap him up to make sure they get him down first and foremost to limit those big plays. Let's go now back up top to Kevin Feeney and Brian Shawn. Guys.
All right, thank you very much, Jamal. Brian Shawn, Kevin Feeney will have the call for you just in about 10 minutes or so here from the Fargo Dome as the number 4 UNI Panthers take on top-ranked North Dakota State in a Missouri Valley heavyweight contest here this afternoon. And Kevin, Jamal was talking about David Johnson. Had a chance to chat with Chris Kleiman, the defensive coordinator for NDSU. He used to be the defensive coordinator at UNI. And I said, you know, talk about David Johnson. He goes, well, blame me. I'm the one that recruited him to UNI. It actually came down to the last week. So he goes, that's going to be kind of interesting going against a kid that you actually recruited to come play for you.
Well, I tell you what, David Johnson's as good a back as there is in FCS football. I can't believe he's not playing for Iowa or Iowa State personally. This guy is, like they said, a matchup nightmare, 6'3" kid, unbelievable athletic ability. Not taking away anything from Zenner, completely different style running back, But this is a type of guy that you got to know where he is on each and every snap.
And I know when you talk about defensively for the Bison, how are they going to contain Johnson? Well, last week it was Zach Zenner, and they held him to 4 yards on 8 carries. This is a Bison defense that hasn't given up a point in 9 quarters of football here. You have to go back to the Ferris State game in the 3rd quarter about a month ago, the last time they gave up any points. So that's a pretty confident group right now, and a group that I think is feeling pretty good about where they're at.
You know what they are, and they should be, but on the same token, Zenner lines up in the same spot every play. And I think that's one thing. Coach Kleiman knows how explosive and knows how talented Johnson is. He needs to make sure that his Bison players are very aware where he is at on the field at all times, which means there's going to be probably a few more checks than what there normally is on for this Bison defense. Bison pride themselves on their true Tampa 2. They got a very solid scheme, and they let their athletes be athletes. Now I think they're going to be forced into saying we need to find out where he's going to be, how we can take him out of this football game and make somebody else beat us.
The other matchup we're going to have to take a look at is how that NDSU offense, minus maybe a couple of offensive linemen starters. We'll see how that factors in. We'll get to that here after the break. But they will take on a UNI defense that has moved to a 3-4. So we'll see how that matchup goes once we kick things off here in just about 10 minutes from the Fargo Dome. Jamal, back to you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Grant Olson told me this week, hey, we'd love to hold Johnson to just 4 yards like we did Zenner, but he's a completely different back, and this is a completely different type of system. UNI runs multiple offensive formations where SDSU kind of just lines up there and says, here it is, here's the play, come and stop it. The Bison, of course, would love to hold them to negative 34 yards rushing, but it's going to be a challenge to do just that. If anybody can do it, it'll be defensive coordinator Chris Kleiman, who knows this Northern Iowa team very well, was, of course, the coordinator there for a few years and spent a lot of time at that Panther program. It should be a great game between North Dakota State and Northern Iowa, as it always is. Cole Jurg mentioned that the conference seems to go through these 2 teams each year. But for the last 2 teams, it's been the last 2 years, rather, it's been the Bison who've gotten the better half of that matchup. And Northern Iowa's out for a little revenge this year, as both teams are off to undefeated starts with FBS wins. Number 1 versus number 4. It'll be a heck of a game here at the Fargo Dome. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have the kickoff of what should be a classic matchup here today.